Ocean's Pit, little show about big things. It's Friday. It's the beginning of Labor Day weekend, and I hope you guys are having a great morning. Thanks for tuning in. Tony Ocean's Pit, little show about big things. Today is Friday, September 1st. So welcome September and welcome Labor Day. I hope you guys got some great plans. Go out, eat, support local establishments, live entertainment. Go out and have some fun, go fishing, do stuff with the family, get out of the house. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a great weekend. Check the website, TonyOceanMusic.com, and give us a call at 847-769-8609 to book a show, folks. Every show is dedicated to the first responders and mostly dedicated to people like you who take the time and watch this show Monday through Friday, 12 o'clock noon for a little lunchtime fun. You can watch us. You're watching us right now on the Tony Ocean Show Facebook page. We're also on the Mo Carraro Facebook page. We're on LinkedIn. We're on X, formerly Twitter. We're on YouTube. Please subscribe. And we're also on Ocean's Pit Facebook page. So check it out. Join us. Have some fun, folks. We got a great guest coming on very, very shortly. He's back again, the legendary Tom Dreesen. We'll talk more with Tom. But first, let's get right to our sponsors, folks. Let's say I'll go to our good friends from Ace Hardware, Norwich, Des Plaines, Evergreen Park, and Warrenville. That's right. Buy local, shop local, folks. Ace is the place, and they've been taking care of people for many, many years. Now, folks, these special deals that we're telling you right now is good through September 11th. Now, buy a $50 Ace gift card and receive a $10 bonus gift card for a free 30-gallon lawn leaf bags. They're only 2 for $5. Prepare your lawn, folks, for fall. Ace Fall Lawn Seed, 31-pound bag for only $12.99. Fall mums are arriving in the stores today, the first week of September, and check out the unique selection of fall and Halloween decor. Now, folks, Labor Day hours are open till 4 o'clock, and this Saturday, September 2nd, at all 4 locations, Ace Hardware is doing something great for you customers, folks. From 11 a.m. to 2, it'll be a Labor Day barbecue feast. That's right, they're grilling hot dogs for all the customers. Free hot dogs. Come on in. Take advantage of some great deals with Ace Hardware. Also, folks, buy a new grill. Tell them to grill your ace off and get $20 off any grill purchase. That's Ace Hardware, Norwich, Des Plaines, Evergreen Park, or Warrenville. Buy local, shop local, Ace Hardware, taking care of neighbors before they were neighborhoods. And that's what it's about, folks, Ace Hardware. Gotta love them. Great people, always buying and supporting local establishments. That's what it's about. How about our good friends from Gorelli Pavement Service? That's right, Gorelli Pavement Service, everybody. You gotta love them because they're local, and that's what it's about. Shop local, baby. Gorelli knows the curb appeal for your home or business, largely affected by your concrete and asphalt. Gorelli is here to help you keep your asphalt looking brand new with proper maintenance, which includes seal coating, crack filling, or patching. They even do driveways, folks. They service Illinois, Wisconsin, or Indiana. That's Gorelli Pavement Service, 815-271-5835. Call Laura or Barb for a free estimate. That's Gorelli Pavement Service, 815-271-5835. Tell them Tony O sent you, folks. And let's get right to Chicago Doors Limited, specializing in residential and commercial exterior and interior doors and residential garage and garage door operators. They've been in business for over 40 years. They buy direct from the manufacturers and deliver the highest quality products at the lowest possible prices. That's Chicago Door Limited. Call Alan at 847-641-8552 for a free estimate and tell him Tony O sent you, or you can email him at chicagodoor01@gmail.com. They also have special senior discounts. That's Chicago Doors Unlimited, folks. You're watching Ocean's Pit, little show about big things. We're going to have the great Tom Dreesen on. The quote says, the man who made Sinatra laugh, and he did for over 14 years, opening up for Mr. Frank Sinatra. We'll have some more stories with him. Don't forget, folks, now October is also around the corner. It's time for the Hardcore Italians and the Italian Sports Hall of Fame bring you Columbus Day Bocce Tournament. It's going to be at the Casa Italiana in Stone Park, Saturday, October 7th. That's an 8 a.m. hit. Music games, food. It's going to have a car show, a motorcycle show. It's going to be fantastic. And we're playing bocce. We're going to be the Oceanettes with Danny Maggi from Armando Supermarkets, 925 Liberty Street in Elgin. Buy local, shop local. Also, we'll have Joey Spins, and we'll have Jimmy Marchese from River Cafe. So go to eventbrite.com so you can get information on that. Come and join us, folks. We have a great show lined up for you guys. It's going to be a lot of fun. But before we bring Tom Dreesen on, folks, don't forget 2024 Chicago Music Cruise. It's happening January 7th, 2024 to January 14th. It's going to be a 7-night Eastern Caribbean cruise on the Royal Caribbean's Wonders of the Sea. The biggest ship on the water, folks. It's 4 football fields long. We're starting off in Orlando, Coco Key, Bahamas, St. Martin, and St. Thomas. It's a Tony Ocean show and the main event band, Mojo's Jukebox, my other band, and of course, the legendary Seventh Heaven. It's going to be a lot of fun, folks. Go to Mary at ntdvacations.com and join us on that cruise, folks. It's going to be a lot of fun. You want to take part in that. The Chicago Music Cruise 2024. Welcome to Ocean's Pit, little show about big things. That's so. Rick, how you doing, buddy, from the Cave Dwellers in the house? Stella, Ryan, how you guys doing? We have Indiana, Arizona, Santa Barbara. Hello, New Jersey. Hello, Pittsburgh. Melrose Park tonight. Daniel, how you doing, buddy? Rogia is in the house. She's a big Sinatra fan. You got to love everybody. Kathy Eppolito, Albert from the Ron Onesti organization. Marty Malarkey from McCormick Place. We got them all here, man. What are we smoking today? Of course, this is a Don Esteban cigar, hand-rolled right from Tarpon Springs, Florida, baby. Greg Kiefer, how you doing? Tim Seaton in the house. Timmy, thank you for setting this up. I hope you're doing well. Richard Hamlin. We got a bunch of great people watching the show today. And, of course, why? Because we got a great guest on. And I'm going to bring them on, folks, in just a second here. Now, remember, let me give you a little background, just a touch on the stuff that this gentleman has done for the years that he's been entertaining in the great, all over the country, all over the world. We're talking about the great comic genius, the great Tom Dreesen. You got him, folks. He's from Harvey, Illinois. He's been on the show before. Just the list of stuff that this gentleman has done through his career, it's unbelievable. Why is he on the show again today? We're going to talk about some stories that he dealt with, of course, when he worked with some stuff with Tony Bennett. And Tony Bennett, of course, just passed away. But he's got 2 shows coming up here in the Chicagoland area, folks. Now, September 15th, that's the Friday night. He's going to be at the Uptown Social. That's 907 Franklin Street in Michigan City, Indiana. Right next to that blue chip over there. Not too far, folks. It's going to be fantastic. 907 Franklin Street, like I said, Michigan City, Indiana. That's the 15th of September. Now, doors open at 7. The show is at 8 o'clock. General admission tickets are $49, folks. VIP balcony is $69, and meet and greet are $99. Spend that little extra cash to meet and greet with Tom Dreesen because he's got incredible stories. Go to call 219-809-9119 for information on tickets, or go to uptownsocialmc.com and get your tickets to see Tom Dreesen live at the Uptown Social on the 15th of September. And if Michigan, Indiana is a little too far, how about going right to Lake Forest, Illinois, folks? Tom Dreesen will be at the John Hughes Theater, folks, 400 Illinois Avenue or Illinois Road in Lake Forest, Illinois, Sunday, September 17th. It's a 2 o'clock in the afternoon show, folks. You got to love it. 847-234-6060 for information on Tom Dreesen live at the John Hughes Theater, of course, in Lake Forest. So let's see if we can get Tom up here, folks. Okay, the screen is black. Tom, you might want to log on again, my friend. You just didn't come up yet. So we're going to have to see. We did a sound check. Everything was cool, but now it looks like the screen is dark. Tom, we're waiting on Tom Dreesen, folks. You're watching Ocean's Pit. Please. All right, so Tom Dreesen will be joining us, folks. He's going to come back up again. Anyway, good stuff. Now, we want to thank everybody. Screen is still dark. You might want to try that again. folks. Yesterday, I want to thank everybody who showed up to Donnie G's in Elmwood Park. I want to thank you all for being there. It was a great event. Of course, I want to thank my mom, of course, for being there. Gabe, happy birthday, my good buddy Gabe. And it was great seeing, of course, Jerry Jams Renda. Tonight, folks, will be at the Taste of Melrose Park. Taste of Melrose Park tonight. Now, it's a doubleheader. Doubleheader, folks. That's right, at the Melrose Park Civic Center. That's tonight. Show starts from 7 to 9 o'clock. It's going to be Ocean's Rat Pack. Bill Saratella. There you are. Thank you. All right. Bill Saratella as Frank Sinatra. Elliot Winbush as Sammy Davis. Yours truly as Dean. That's a 7 o'clock hit, 7 to 9. And then 9:15 to 10:30, the main event band. That's tonight at the Taste of Melrose Park. All right. I see Tom there, folks. So before we bring him on one more time, let me tell you, we have the legendary Tom Dreesen on, the man who made Sinatra laugh. I mean, folks, he was part of the very first black and white duo comedy team called Tim and Tom with a great actor named Tim Reed, of course. He's been on The Tonight Show 61 times. He was on Letterman for over 50 times, folks. He even hosted it. I mean, this man has been everywhere. He's been Frank Sinatra's opening act for 14 years, folks. Been in some great movies. Of course, how about one with Trouble with the Curve with the great Clint Eastwood? The guy's done it all, folks. You got to love him. Let's bring him on from Harvey, Illinois, one of the comic geniuses of our time, and proud to be a Chicago native that he is, Mr. Tom Dreesen, everybody. Tom, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing fine. This is the second time you introduced me, and I thought, hell, maybe I'll this one here, sit here the third time.
Yeah, I mean, you can't. I mean, the list that you got is unbelievable. First of all, I know you're a busy man. You're doing a lot of radio stuff and TV, getting ready for your shows coming up. Again, Tom, thank you so much for taking the time and being on the show. You look incredible. Are you home? Where are you at? What are you doing?
I'm here in Sherman Oaks, California, but I'm coming to Chicago in a couple days. On the 7th, I'm coming because on September 8th, I'm throwing out the first pitch at Wrigley Field, and I'm singing. I'm going to pretend I'm Tony Ocean, and I'm singing the 7th inning stretch.
And you're doing that with Joe Montana, or doing that by yourself?
Myself, Joe Montana and I are tied ever since Harry passed away. Harry Carey. I think I've done it 21 years in a row, and Joe has done it 20, and he's so we're around that ballpark.
Tom, you got an incredible career that you have. We told everybody before you came on, of course, September 15th, you'll be at the Uptown Social, 907 Franklin Street. That's in Michigan City, Indiana. Probably not too far from the Blue Chip as well. But it's going to be a great show. Doors open at 7, 8 o'clock's the show. General admission, folks, $49. VIP balcony is $69, and meet and greet. Spend the extra little cash for $99, and you can sit with Tom, and he'll tell you some great stories and everything that he's been through. You got to go to uptownsocialmc.com for tickets, and don't forget the show he's got in Lake Forest, Illinois, folks, at the John Hughes Theater, 400 Illinois Road on Sunday. September 17th, matinee, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. You got to go 847-234-6060 for information. Tom, boy, I mean, everything that you got going here, and I don't even know where to start. I know we were on the show before. I just want to say, wow. And here, a quote that you said back on August 5th, 2019. I don't want to be rich and famous. I just want to eat. And I mean, and everybody knows who you are, Tom. The story that you had, of course, you also served in the U.S. Navy, Harvey, Illinois. Fantastic stuff you had, working with Frank, working with all the other entertainers, and everything that you've done. Also, you got an early birthday coming up, September 11th. Congratulations on that. All right, so. Man, I don't know where to start to tell you, but Tim Seaton was telling me that you worked a couple of times with Tony Bennett. What was he like?
Yeah, I did shows with Tony several times, and also I spent some time with him. He would come down when I was staying at Frank Sinatra's compound down in Rancho Mirage. Tony would come down and spend a couple of days sometimes. And in fact, one of the stories I like to tell about Tony, he arrived at Frank's compound, and before he even put his clothes away, he set up an easel and he painted Frank's compound. And when Frank woke up later on that day, because Frank stayed up all night and catnapped during the day, he handed Frank this beautiful painting that he had done of the entire compound. He was such a brilliant artist, you know. But what I like about him, anyhow, Frank Sinatra always paid tribute to Tony.
Correct. Was that one of his favorite singers?
It was the favorite singer, no question about it. But I'll tell you how I came to know that is Frank and I were doing a series of one-nighters down in Florida. We were working at the Sunrise Theater in Fort Lauderdale, and then we were going out doing one-nighters in Daytona, Sarasota, and Fort Myer. We'd go out each night, take the private jet out, do the show, come right back. One of the nights when we went out to Daytona, we flew back. As soon as the jet landed, the squad cars and limousines rushed us to a little Italian restaurant there in Fort Lauderdale that they kept open just for Frank. And as we came in, the owner took us to a back room and set us down, gave Frank a dish of pasta and a glass of wine. And Tony Bennett was on a CD above in the speaker singing. And Frank looked at me and he said, "Tommy, does it get any better than this? A glass of wine, a dish of pasta, and my main man is up there singing to us." And I never forgot that. And Frank had a big grin on his face. So every time I work with Tony Bennett, if I had to introduce him at any function, I would tell that story. And I'd say, "Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to Frank Sinatra's main man, who's going to sing for you tonight." And it would be, Tony would come out.
That's an unbelievable story. I mean, you work with two of the greats. If you worked with many, I 14 years with Francis Albert, and there's never going to be another one. Obviously, there'll be never another Frank. But Tom, do you remember like the first time that you had the gig with him? The very first time you knew you were going to get that gig. What was that feeling like?
It was, it was beyond my comprehension because I've said this over and over and over again. I never cared. I mean, you always want people to like you, but it didn't matter to me if CBS, ABC, NBC, or even the movie industry. I wanted to be a stand-up comedian first, last, and always. That quote you made, I didn't want to be famous. I just wanted to eat. That's really basically the truth. Because first day I ever went on stage and got a laugh, it was like one of those old B movies, where the dark clouds open up and the sun bursts through. My whole being went, yeah, oh, wow, this is what I want to do. I want to be a stand-up comedian. And I actually went to the local church in Harvey, Illinois, where I was an altar boy when I was a kid, Ascension Church. And I prayed. I said, "God, now I know what I want. I want to be a comedian. God, if you let me make a living, let me make my living as a comedian. I'll never ask for anything else. I'll do charities." I was making all these promises. And all my prayers were answered. For 54 years now, I've been making a living as a stand-up comedian. But that being said, going to Frank, if I don't care, everybody in the industry even cared about me. If Frank Sinatra thought that I was good enough to grace the same stage as him, well, you can close the lid on me. I mean, I don't need any more approval. Sammy Davis Jr. took me on the road. Dean Martin and I did shows together, and Frank Sinatra let me grace the same stage. And so, to me, that's all that ever mattered. If he thought that I was good enough to be in show business and to be on the same stage as him, then that was God's answering my prayer.
Unbelievable, folks. Ocean's Pit. We have the legendary, of course, great comic, Mr. Tom Dreesen. Got a book out called Still Standing, My Journey to the Streets and Saloons, the Stage, and Sinatra. I mean, that has to be. You also did a one-man show, didn't you? Still do that one-man from Shoeshine Boy? How does that? What was the title of that?
That's what I'm doing now. The Man Who Made Sinatra Laugh. I just the title, and I changed some things in the show, but that's what I'm doing. A 90-minute show of stand-up comedy, of course, and then I segue to a bar, and there's a bottle of Jack Daniels on the stage. Of course, was Frank's drink of choice, and I tell a story at the bar, and then all the lights go out in the theater, and on the screen, Frank is singing to me. I'm behind the bar like a bartender. He's singing, "It's 2:45. There's no one in the place except you and me," and like he's singing to me. And when he goes to the chorus, "Make it one for my baby and one more for the road," he goes off screen and the spotlight hits me. And now I'm in a bar and I've come home and the audience is in a bar with me. And I tell him the first time I heard that voice, I was shining shoes in Harvey, Illinois. I was 10 years old and he was on the jukebox. And then I take the audience from that little boy hearing Frank Sinatra on the jukebox in Harvey, Illinois, to one day carrying his coffin out of a church in Beverly Hills, California. So I take them on that journey of a lot of laughs and a lot of poignant stories. And sometimes I have them in tears. And
I mean, I know you probably get these questions all the time, and you know some people might get sick of it, but it always seems like you're telling the story. For many times as I met you, it always seems like you're telling the story for the first time. That which what makes it so exciting because it's not like oh, you know, you're repeating. This is just, I mean, it goes on and on. I mean, even wow, even doing the Tonight Show for 61 times. What was the difference, Tom, between, in your opinion, of Johnny Carson and David Letterman?
well, David was he was the new generation, Johnny Carson.
Sure,
He took the young people of this nation to his show, and then later, I stayed on for 32 years.
sure.
Johnny, to me, Johnny was the consummate late night talk show host, and for a lot of good reasons. He never allowed politics into his monologue. And when he was questioned on 60 Minutes one time, 60 Minutes, Mike Wallace said, "Well, how come you don't do more about politics?" He said, "Why? Why should I divide my audience? They come to me for laughter. They've worked hard all day long. They've had sometimes two jobs. They got all kinds of problems. Just before they go to sleep at night, they turn me on and I got them laughing. I don't need to bring seriousness of politics or show my political views to the audience, And that was his philosophy. And also the key thing about Johnny Carson, and I hosted a lot of talk shows and TV shows, and I always kept this in mind. When Johnny walked out to do his monologue, he was the star, and the audience reacted to it. He was a big star. When he sat down and talked to Ed and did a few little jokes, he was the star. But when you came on, you were the star. From that point on, Johnny backed off. I don't care if you were Gregory Peck or you're a little old lady from Omaha who was 100 years old raising chickens. You were the star after that. And you were the star in his home. And he was so good at that. He was the best of the late night talk shows, in my opinion.
Tom, wasn't it true that if you got the nod to come after you do your monologue up there, you do your thing, if you got the nod to come sit next to Frank, wasn't that like the next day agents would be all over the phone calling? Is that true story from what I'm hearing?
Yeah, but you said sitting next to Frank, you mean sitting next to Johnny.
Johnny, I'm sorry, yes.
But here's the thing. In 1975, wherever you went in America, people say, "What do you do for a living?" So I'm a stand-up comedian. The next question out of their mouth would be, "Oh, yeah? Have you ever been on Johnny Carson?" So if you got on Johnny Carson, in the eyes of America, you had arrived. But to our industry, you had not arrived till you sat down and talked to Johnny. So when after two or three times, if Johnny thought you had what it takes to have longevity, then he called you over to the couch. And so on my third appearance, he called me over, and then from that time on, I was always, and that was the fun part too. You do your monologue, and you want to score there, and then you go sit and talk to Johnny. He wanted funny stories. I used to make up stories about Harvey, Illinois. He loved. I told him one time. I said, he said something about gambling, and I said I grew up in a town where everybody gambled. He said, "Wait a minute, everybody in your town gambled?" I said, "Yeah, everybody." He said, "Wait, everybody in Harvey, Illinois gambled?" I said, "We had a guy named Tony who was delivering dry cleaning, and he kept going to Washington Racetrack and spending some of the company money. And finally, he had embezzled like $3,500, and he decided to end it all. And he went up on top of one of the buildings in Harvey, and he was going to jump, and the whole town got down below him. And one of the guys, went up the fire escape and went along the wall and said to him, 'Tony, don't jump. Please don't jump.' He said, 'Louis, I didn't know you cared.' He said, 'At least don't jump for 10 minutes. I got 8-10 in the pool.'"
See, and that's amazing. Some of these great jokes too, and great stories that you had. We're listening to the great Tom Dreesen, folks. You can't get any better than Tom. Tom, when you're looking around, I know you've worked with a lot of different people. How about the experience with the great Clint Eastwood and Trouble with the Curve? How did that come about in 2012?
Well, first of all, Frank Sinatra introduced me to Clint Eastwood many years ago, like 35, 40 years ago, down at Frank's compound. We had there was a big golf tournament, the Frank Sinatra Celebrity Invitational, that went on for almost 30 years. And every year, Frank would sing and I would do comedy, and then I would MC the Black Tie Affair. And Frank would invite all these celebrities down to his compound, and Clint was one of them. And I don't know why, but when we met, we just hit it off. First of all, Clint's the nicest, most easygoing guy you're ever going to meet in your life. A brilliant man, obviously a genius
Sure.
in directing and film. But he set pins in a bowling alley when he was a kid. So did I when he grew up in Oakland, and we just kind of connected. And then we played golf together, and I made him laugh, and he'd tell me great stories about our industry, and we just became friends. So now, when it came time one time for the movie Trouble with the Curve, a lot of people say, "Oh, because Clint was your friend, you got the gig." Well, that was part of it, but the other part, I had to read. I had to do a screen test for this part that I had. It's Clint. Everybody who goes in his films, it has to screen test, and unless you're a major star and he already
Sure.
knows you're working. So I got to do a scene with Clint in the bar, and I got to tell you, let me tell you a funny, quick story. If you remember
Sure.
the movie Trouble with the Curve, first of all, Clint has a nickname for me. He calls me Rock, and I call him Rock. It's kind of a thing, and I'll tell you about it when we're alone because I can't tell it on the air.
Okay. Okay.
Why he calls me Rock.
Okay.
But anyhow, so now when I'm going down to do the scene, we went down to Atlanta, Georgia, and we went to Macomb, Georgia, Macon, Georgia, to do the scene in a bar. He's a baseball scout who just found out he's got macular degeneration, and now,
Right.
as you know, the movie, he's now distraught. He goes into a bar, in a local bar, and I'm a character in the bar, and my name is Roy on the script. So I memorized all my lines. I memorized his lines, which I learned to do in acting classes. So I know how to react in the scene. And he's distraught. He comes in, he sits down at the bar. He just heard that he's got macular degeneration, and the bartender said, "How you doing today, Herb, or whatever his name was?" He said, "Not good, Jimmy, not good." He said, "How you feeling?" He said, "I feel like crap. That's what I feel like." Anyhow, I come up and I say, "Hey, how about a game of Keno, Gus?" I said his name was Gus. Yeah, I said, "How about a game of Keno, Gus?" And he says to me, "Not today, Rock." Well, my name in the script is Roy. So when he said we were live on camera, and he said, "Not today, Rocket," I almost went up on my lines.
Yeah, because you freaked out with the name. Right. Right. Right.
He was messing with me. He said, "Not today, Rocket." And I said, "Oh, come on, one game." He said, I said, "No, you don't know means damn it. When somebody tells you no," and I said, hey, what crawled up your ass? He said, "Old age," and he walked out of the bar. Now we did a second scene that I took on Letterman. Okay. Now this in the second scene, I asked Clint if I could do this, and he said, "Sure." He doesn't like to waste film, but he let me do this. In the second scene, I said, "How about a game of Keno, Gus?" He said, "Not today, Rock." I said, "Come on, one game." I said, "No, damn it. You don't know means when somebody tells you no." I said, okay. What crawled up your ass?" He said, "I had to watch a David Letterman show last night." And we played that on Letterman. Letterman roared, the audience roared.
And he just loved it. Tom, I was going to ask you, and I can't speak. I know for when you do your shows, how much is it actually scripted? Do you think, and how much do you actually play with the audience? It just comes off the top of your head.
But I tell every new comedian, I know where I'm going. Especially in a 90-minute show. When you do a show for an audience, I got a beginning, a middle, and an ending. I know where I'm going. But if you know where you're going, then you can ad lib within the confines of that. You know what I mean? I have to prepare the beginning, a middle, and ending because that's the way a show has to go. Sinatra taught me that. I mean, Frank said 90 minutes, Tommy, that's the show. 90 minutes, no more. Anything after that is ego tripping and so forth and so on. But he believed in that. He said, always leave them wanting a little bit more. But knowing where you're going, and I did, sometimes something would come up and I'll ad lib and I'll go off on the stream of consciousness with that. But I also know how to get back to the continuity. A show has to have continuity, just like a film.
That's unbelievable. Ron Onesti, a good friend of both of us, says hello. Tommy will be honored the guest at the Italian American Sports Hall of Fame Gala. Congratulations, of course, the great Ron Onesti. Tom, on that one, he says hello. Tom.
Ron Onesti books entertainers in Chicago, keeps them working all the time. He's one of the best in our business.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've been together for many, many years, and he's always. And what I love about Ron, he just takes care of his friends, and he loves doing it, bringing great entertainment to both of his locations, the one in Des Plaines and the one in St. Charles, which is fantastic. Tom Dreesen, folks, one of the man with his new show called "The Man Who Made Sinatra Laugh." Was there a time, Tom, that you were just going great with the audience? You only have a certain amount of time. How much time you usually have when you open for Frank?
Well, he would vary. He would say some nights do 25 minutes. Tom, I'm doing an hour and 5. Then he would say do 30 minutes. My read. He never called it his throat. He called it his read. He said, my read's a little sore. But here's what you had to do, and a lot of comedians can do. But fortunately, when I met Frank Sinatra, when I started touring with him, I had been a veteran. I had done about 40 Tonight shows. I toured all around the country with different artists. But he would say to me some nights, Tommy, do 25. I'd say, okay. He said, I'm going to do an hour and 5. I'd say, okay. And then he'd say, Tommy, I'm going to add another song tonight. Do 20. Do you mind doing 20? I said, 20 is fine. Then he'd say, I'm getting ready to go on stage. He'd say, this manager would come running up. He said, the old man wants you to do 30 tonight. I said, now your brain is, you're 20, you know, but I could adjust. I was fortunate enough that I'd been a veteran enough to adjust to that. You never knew with him what was going to go on.
Tom, so if the audience is going crazy on you, when your time is up, your time is up. Frank doesn't let you keep going because the audience just says they want more Tom?
No. You, and by the way, you did what you were. He was the boss of the tour.
Sure.
Well, it was his tour.
Sure.
I mean, you know, every night in the big arenas, after my show, they took an intermission, and then Frank would go on, and I'd always come off stage. He'd say, "How's the crowd? Great crowd." Blah blah blah. But in the casinos in Vegas, Tahoe, Reno, Atlantic City, that when I finished my show, I'd say, "You've been a wonderful. Thank you very much. Good night, everybody." I would exit stage right. He would enter stage right. So we would crisscross. And then he would get to center stage. I'd be off stage, and he'd say, Tommy, come back and take another bow. Tommy Dreesen, ladies and come back and take another bow. And I'd take a half bow. I'd come out halfway and wave at him, you know. So he was just a stickler for that time. And fine, if they were roaring, that was even better for him. That's what he wanted you to do. He wanted you to get that audience up, you know.
Up and going. Did Frank ever do any encores, or was it 90 minutes? That's it. He never went back out again when the audience asked.
A great while, but it would be a planned encore. You know, he'd always close with New York, with an uptune. You know, he'd do My Way just before that, and you know, I would sit in the wings night after night, watching when he would, especially as he was getting older, when he would get to that song, a spotlight would come down on just him. You couldn't see the orchestra or anything. And now the end is near. People would burst into tears in the audience.
Sure.
So I faced that final curtain. I mean, it would give me chills every night. People would be crying. We love you, Frank. We love you, Frank. And then, of course, he always closed with an uptune. Leave them, you know, get them, you know, on an uptune. You don't leave them on a sad tune.
Well, absolutely, ladies and gentlemen. Tom Dreesen, of course, Chicago legendary comic from all over the world famous Tom Dreesen. We love him. We got 2 shows coming up, folks. Don't forget, September 15th will be at the Uptown Social. That's 907 Franklin Street, Michigan City, Indiana, folks. Probably not far from that the Blue Chip Casino there. It's going to be a lot of fun. Doors open at 7, 8 o'clock show, folks. General admission $49, VIP balcony $69, meet and greet $99. It's going to be fantastic. Go to uptownsocialmc.com on the 15th, or you can go to Lake Forest on Sunday, September 17th at the John Hughes Theater. That's a 2 o'clock in the afternoon show, 400 Illinois Road in Lake Forest. The one-man show, 847-234-6060 for tickets on that particular show. Tom Dreesen, you've been doing it for so long. Is there anything on your bucket list you haven't done yet?
No, I got to tell you, here's people say, when are you going to lay it down? Years ago, I was working with Smokey Robinson at Harrah's, and George Burns was appearing at Caesars in Lake Tahoe. He was 95 years old, and I had done the Dean Martin roast with George Burns, and I liked him a lot. And so I went over to see his show. I was 95. He didn't run out to the microphone, but when he got out there, he did a strong hour and 10 minutes, had people laughing. I go backstage afterward to say hello, and he's got 3x5 cards in his hand, 3x5 cards. And he's looking at them, and I said, hey, George, good show. He looked up, he said, oh, hi, Tommy. He said, I was working on some new material tonight. You know, I said, that's what I want to be. I want to be 95 years old working on new material. That's you know.
It's amazing. I remember I read a story or some George Burns' doctor says, because he was smoking a lot of cigars. I don't know how many he smoked a day, but they asked Mr. Burns, he goes, what does your doctor say? He goes, my doctors are all dead. I mean, it's just amazing, everybody that you worked with and stuff that you've done, Tom. And what was the biggest crowd you played in front of with Frank, or even on your own?
40,000 people on my own. I'd never drawn this. 40,000 people in Hawaii. Everywhere we went in the big arenas was normally 20,000. You know, Nassau Coliseum and all the big arenas around the country. And you didn't work proscenium where people in front of you, as you know, in the round. So
Sure.
People would behind you to the left and to the right. And it was 40,000 in Hawaii outdoors, and they had big, huge screens on the right. And for a comedian, that's very difficult. I learned a lot of tricks to when you open for Frank Sinatra. First of all, in a 20,000 seat arena, there's 2 or 3,000 people still trying to find their seats
Yeah.
when they bring you out there. Now, first of all the lights would go down in the arena, and you'd hear, oh, and then the orchestra was in the pit. They go, oh, and now the comedy star of our show, they go, oh, because
So
Frank's coming out. So I got to go out there and I got to get center stage and I've got to bring them to me because you got to get them up. I would not open with my A jokes, with my best jokes. I got to bring the attention to me. So I'd say, how many of you out there are in this arena for your very first time? Applaud, and they'd applaud. I'd say, how many of you out there are seeing Frank Sinatra live your very first time? Applaud, and they will applaud. You notice I didn't say raise your hand. I said applaud. I said, how many of you out there aren't wearing any underwear? Applaud, whatever I'd say. Applaud. In other words, I talk, you react. I talk, you react. I talk, you. I'm bringing you to me here, center stage. I teach young comedians this. They'd have to go through this. Bring the attention there. Then I'd say, how many of you out there thought Frank Sinatra was coming out? And they'd applaud. I'd say, applaud. They'd applaud. I'd say, I know how you feel. I'm a little bit disappointed myself. Now that joke is on me. Now I'm getting their attention. And then I would do a couple of jokes about that town. If we were in Omaha, Nebraska, Lincoln, Nebraska, Louisville, Kentucky, New York, wherever, I would have I'd write some jokes that day about that town to localize the jokes. And then I would go into my A material. Once I had the audience, now I had them me in the focus, So
where do you find your material at? You write a lot of it. You find stuff from headlines. How does that all work? As
well,
the years grow, as the years keep going by, how do you find new stuff? How do you keep fresh?
well, because as a comedian, I'm aware of I'd be having dinner with you, Tony, and we'd be talking about baseball, whatever, and you'd say something about your sister-in-law, your mother-in-law, and I'd go, ooh, I know how that can be funny.
Okay.
The way Tony told it wasn't necessarily funny, but if this would have happened, it would have been funny. I mean, I have that kind of, my brain thinks of jokes, even since I was a little boy. When I was an altar boy, serving mass at a funeral, I would be thinking, what if the handle came off and the guy fell out of the coffin? My mind was always on, how could this be funny,
See, yeah, that's got to keep it all fresh. So, you did some great things, Tommy. Let's Tom. Let's remember here when you had the first duo, the Black and White comedy team. I mean, when you guys first met, did you know that there might be a little problems when you guys got together at that particular time, doing it for the first time together?
1969, September 1969, Tim Reed and I went on stage for the very first time. There were no comedy clubs in the world, in the country. There were none, no comedy clubs anywhere. So we had to put together an act that could work in nightclubs. Now today, kids get together 5 minutes and they go to a little open mic night and learn their craft. Tim Reed and I had to come up with an act, because we were trying to get in clubs. So we worked what they call the Chitlin Circuit, black-owned, black-operated nightclubs. In Chicago, it was the High Chaparral, the Burning Spear, the Dating Club Lounge, Guys and Gals, Cotton Club. We worked all black clubs on the South Side. And then around the country, in Detroit, Motown was in Detroit in those days. So all the Motown acts broke their act in at a place called the 20 Grand before they went to Vegas. We worked the 20 Grand. The Sugar Shack in Boston, the Club Harlem in Atlantic City before they had gambling. All black operating clubs and black audiences, as well as then we worked all white nightclubs, the Playboy Circuit. America wasn't really ready for us, but we were ready for America.
And you guys took that upon yourself, or did someone put you guys together?
No, I wrote a drug education. I was in a civic group called the JCs, and Tim joined the JCs. He graduated from Norfolk State College, and E.I. DuPont recruited him into Chicago as a marketing rep. And so when the first night he joined the JCs, I was proposing a drug education program teaching grade school children the ills of drug abuse with humor, a concept that I had 8th graders before they'd go into high school. So the whole program was based on playing records, getting the kids' attention, getting them laughing a little bit, and then planting the seeds of the ills of drug abuse. Well, Tim Reed wanted to join me on this, and he did. And when we went in the classrooms, we played off of one another a lot. and the students were black and white. So we were young guys, seeing a young guy, a young black guy, and a young white guy having fun together, the kids reacted to us very well. The program became #1 in 50 states and in 22 foreign countries through JC Publications on how to teach drug education at that level. One day, a little 8th grade girl in St. John's grade school in Harvey, Illinois, a little Catholic grade school, her name was Vicky Sarufka, a little 8th grade girl, walking by us on the way out of the classroom, said, "You guys are funny. You ought to become a comedy team." And the thought of a black-white comedy team intrigued us because no one had ever done that before. So we started writing what we thought was material, and we went out. We bombed, but we tried it again, and pretty soon we started on a roll. And we're the best of friends to this day. And I think the world of them, even though, the team broke up after 6 years because Tim wanted to be more of an actor.
Sure.
And he's a very successful actor.
Well, Tom, you've done so much, and what would you tell a new comic? What kind of advice? Because you talk to them all the time. Is it a good? Would you take their feel if they say, "Tom, this is what I want to do for a living"?
Yeah, here's what I would tell them. First of all, if you're in the Chicagoland area on September 13th at 1:00 in the afternoon, I'm at Zanies downtown giving a motivational speech to comedians. I talk on 4 subjects: perception, visualization, self-talk, and develop a sense of humor. And I elaborate on those 4 points. And if you're a singer, a writer, an actor, or if you're just a businessman, I give these motivation talks through corporate America and at universities, and they pay me. I'm doing this for free in Chicago on September 13th at Zanies because I think stand-up comedians are the last bastion of freedom of speech in our nation, and how important they are, because laughter is healing. It's not a theory anymore. Laughter is healing. It used to be, first of all, the brain can't think of 2 thoughts at the same time. So if you're watching a comedian and you're laughing, you're not thinking of your problem. So it's psychologically a deterrent. But UCLA did research a while back, and they found when the human body laughs, there's endorphins are released from the brain. You ever go through a hearty laugh, Tony, and you laugh so hard, tears are coming down your eye, and
oh yes, absolutely.
This sense of well-being comes over you. It's because UCLA did research. Endorphins are released into the brain, from the brain into the bloodstream. So it's a chemical change comes over your body because of the laughter. So laughter is not only psychologically a deterrent, it's physiologically therapeutic. Therefore, comedians are physicians of the soul. You don't have to call me Dr. Dreesen, but
yeah,
that's what I teach the comedians, how important you are. You bring health to numerous people. It might be 5 people in the audience that night. One of them walks out so much better off because of you made them laugh. And then I would say to anybody, not comedians, but Tony, if you were to say to me, "Tom, give me some advice," I'd say, "Okay, Tony, laugh out loud 10 times a day. Laugh out loud. When you're home alone, and the best way to start is when you get out of bed in the morning, go look in the mirror. That's your first big laugh of the day, right?" But
yeah, that's true. That you just got up. That's even the best part. Yeah.
But laugh out loud. Sometimes when I'm walking around my condo here in Sherman Oaks, I'll have a problem. I'll be thinking about this, and pretty soon I'll just go, ha, 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 ha. In acting class, they taught us how to cry and how to laugh during a scene. So I go, ha, 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 ha. Laugh out loud 10 times a day. Find something to laugh at. I promise you, you'll live a longer, healthier life.
Some great advice. Tom, how did you, I know you're busy, just a couple more questions. How did you keep away from when a lot of comics were coming out with that dirty material? How did you stay? Because a lot of people were jumping on that and becoming pretty popular on that. Did you ever even decide to do that, or you just wanted to keep from what you always did?
Well, first of all, let me tell you, I'm a street guy. I don't have a degree from academia. I got a doctorate from the streets. I grew up on the streets. I can do a stag roast with the best of them. If we were stag roasting you, Tony, with old guys in the audience and maybe a couple of women who didn't, let me digress. Frank Sinatra used to call them great broads. Highest compliment he could pay to a woman. He said, "Oh, Tommy, she's a great broad." Barbara Sinatra, Angie Dickinson, people like that, because his interpretation of a great broad was a woman who could mingle with the creme de la creme of society during the day at the White House, and in the evening hang out with the guys. If she was that kind of woman, she was considered a great broad. But so if I had to do a stag roast with you, Tony, I could do the best. I can do it with the best. But when I started out in show business, there wasn't any cable TV. As I pointed out, in order to make it, you had to get on the Tonight Show. So we're in show business. That's two words, show and business. On the business side, I would look at that show and say, how can I get on the Tonight Show? And I'd watch the comedians. Oh, you had to write material that could make grandma and grandpa, mom and dad, and the kids laugh. So that's what the kind of material, in order for me to make it in my business, I had to write that kind of material. Now, time goes by, cable television comes along, and you can say whatever you want to say. And so fine, I'm not approved. You're not going to shock me. My grandmother says the F word. So, I mean, you're not going to shock her, But a while back, I was up at the Laugh Factory, and two young comedians were around the corner, and I was trying out some new material here in Hollywood. And I was around the corner. I didn't see them, and they didn't see me. And I was looking at my notes, and I heard them talking about me. One of them said, "Oh, Tom Dreesen's here." And the other young comedian said, "Oh, yeah, he's old school." And so my ears perked up, and the other kid said, "Old school? What do you mean?" He said, "Well, he doesn't use the F word in his act." And the other comedian said, "He doesn't use the F word. What does he use for adjectives?" And I stuck my head around the corner and I said, "Adjectives."
Adjectives. That you did. Well, Tom, first of all, thank you so much for what you've done, keeping us laughing and the memories that you have and always giving your time. Tom Dreesen got two shows coming up, folks. Let's start off with the Uptown Social on September 15th, 907 Franklin Street in Michigan City, Indiana, folks. UptownSocialMC.com. Doors open at 7, 8 o'clock is the show. You got to check it out. It's the one-man show, The Man Who Made Sinatra Laugh. Or let's go down or take them both. Why don't you go to Sunday on the 17th of September at the John Hughes Theater, folks, 400 East Illinois Road in Lake Forest, 2 o'clock in the afternoon because it's a Sunday, so it'll be a lot of fun. Tom, I want to thank you for your time, sir, and everything you've done. An honor. I've done a couple of shows with you, and I hope me and Tim can put something together. We can do something again. Happy early birthday for you, sir. And what is your plans before you go for the Labor Day weekend?
Well, I'm going to get together with my kids because I won't be home for my birthday. And so the kids all want to get together with me. But let me say this before I close.
Shoot.
We have worked together. And I used to go over to Jilly's just because you were there. I love watching you perform. Frank Sinatra once said something to me on a plane that I'll never forget. It was a humble moment for him, but he said, "Tommy, I don't care if my name lives on. I just want the music to live on." And that's what you, Tony Ocean, do. The music lives on because of guys like you, and you do it very, very well. So
thank you, sir. I appreciate your kind words, and thank you. Much more success. And Tom, I'd love to see. Have you ever had wanted to do a sitcom?
Yeah, not anymore. Or even earlier in my life. The reason being because you go on a sitcom. There's 6 or 8 actors and actresses who are complaining. Well, you got one more laugh than I did, or she's got. I did those. I did WKRP. I did Facts of Life. I did sitcoms as a guest performer. I've acted. I'm an actor. I've studied acting for years, and I enjoy acting. But I don't want to do that anymore. I love stand-up comedy. If you're in Vegas, you're on at 8 o'clock. At 15 minutes to 8, I walk down to my dressing room. I change in my outfit. I go on stage. Show's over. Bingo, I'm done. Corporate dates. You go out in front of the corporation. You walk off stage. They hand you a check for more money than you ever made. And you're like, I love stand-up comedy. The freedom of it. Acting is I can do it, but it's a job.
Well, you've been doing it for so long. You've been doing a great job, Tom. You keep it going, and you give a lot of younger people a chance to listen to your stories and everything that you brought to the table. Thank you so much, Tom, for your time, man. God bless. Have a great day, sir.
Hope to see you soon, buddy.
You got it. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, the great Tom Dreesen. And let's not forget, folks, 2 shows coming up. Uptown Social, September 15th, 907 Franklin Street. That's in Michigan City, Indiana. It's going to be a great show. Doors open at 7. 8 o'clock is the show, UptownSocialMC.com. And let's not forget to see Tom Dreesen at the John Hughes Theater on the 17th of September. That's at 2 o'clock in the afternoon show, the one-man show, The Man Who Made Sinatra Laugh. And I hope the man who made you guys smile from this great interview, and it made great because of Tom Dreesen. And that's what it's about, folks. Thank you, Tim Sheehan, putting that together for us and to keep music alive, the great Tom Dreesen. You're watching Ocean's Pit, little show about big things. We got a couple birthdays. I want to reach out to my good friend, Denise Deanna. Happy birthday, Denise, my dear friend. And I see Tony Onser, the Lipschitz are in the house. So happy birthday, Denise. Look forward to seeing you this weekend. Laura Mizzi, my good friend, and Tony, they're up in Italy enjoying their birthdays, folks. Gabe Caparel. Gabe, great seeing you yesterday at Elmwood Park. Thanks for coming to the show, folks. Our friend Maria Therese, Mary, happy birthday. Let's not forget Ron Dante from, remember, he sang a lot of songs in the 70s, but you might remember his song Sugar, Sugar, from the Archie's cartoon, celebrates a birthday. The keyboard player, of course, part of Captain and Tennille, Daryl Dragon, celebrating a birthday, folks. Richard Gere, actor, celebrating a birthday. One of the great cartoons, me growing up as a kid, Speedy Gonzalez. That's right, folks, 70 years old today. How about Bill Daly, better known as Major Healy on I Dream of Jeannie? Mary Shelley, I think she was 13 or 14 years old when she wrote the actual story, the book Frankenstein, one of the great classics ever. James Kohlberg, another great actor, a great singer-songwriter, the great Barry Gibb, celebrating a birthday. For all you wrestling fans, Jeff Hardy celebrating a birthday. Rudolph Schenker from the Scorpions, Gina Schock, the drummer from the Go-Go's, Debbie Gibson, and the list goes on and on, folks. Ocean's Pit, little show about big things. Isn't that fantastic, the great story of Tom Dreesen? I mean, like I said, with 14 years, 15 years with Frank Sinatra, 60 times on The Tonight Show, 50 times on David Letterman. You even hosted it. I mean, working with Clint Eastwood, working with these great actors, and still fantastic. I'm just honored to have him on the show. Tonight, folks, will be at the Taste of Melrose Park, 7 o'clock to 10:30. That's Ocean's Rat Pack from 7 to 9, and 9:15 to 10:30 will be at the Taste of Melrose. Tomorrow will be at Septemberfest in Schaumburg on the local stage. It's a nice stage, lights, beautiful place to be with the main event band, Tony Toto, Jerry Jams, Danny Raimondi, Jeff Dubray, and Regina Karma, and a special appearance by Irene Michaels will be joining us. That's tomorrow. And then Sunday, ending the Labor Day weekend, folks, at the one of my favorite places in Lake Geneva, the Thirsty Parrot in Lake Como. It's going to be a 3 o'clock hit, 3 to 6. Tony Toto, Jerry Jams, Tommy Q from Mojo's Jukebox. Even my sister Tanya is going to be making an appearance. So we're going to have a lot of fun with a lot of more great stuff coming up. And speaking of Melrose Park, where we're at tonight, St. Jude's benefit coming up Sunday, September 17th. Carl Doty and Paula Doty do an incredible job every year. Proud to be part of it again. And a lot of other great entertainers, of course, Mike and Tracy, Good Clean Fun, Nick Hodges, Stephanie Lemonberger, Regina Karma, John Anthony, Ocean's Rat Pack. It'll be a lot of fun, folks. And the big one, produced by Ron Onesti, coming, folks, Sunday, October 29th. It will be a tribute to old Dean Martin. That's right, folks, at the Des Plaines Theater with Nick Hodges and the band behind us. We're going to have some gold diggers. We're going to have some great fun and telling some great stories of the great Dino Crocetti, better known as Dean Martin. That's Sunday, October 29th at the Des Plaines Theater. Go to oshows.com for that show, and just go to oshows.com to see what Ron Onesti's got cooking. He's got some great bands, great entertainment at the Speakeasy in St. Charles, of course, the theater in St. Charles, the Arcada, and the great Des Plaines Theater. Ronnie's always keeping things moving, man, and that's what it's all about. We were going to tell some other stories, folks. We're running out of time. Because we don't have too much left time to say, folks. But I need to say one thanks. Thank you, guys. Robert, great seeing you yesterday. Again, appreciate very much. Albert. Guys, just remember, we are running out of time, so I'm going to save some other stuff for and we come back on Tuesday. Now, Monday I won't be here, folks. Monday I'll be live at the Bristol Renaissance Fair with my sister Tanya, kicking back, having some fun, having some downtime, which I don't have too much of that. But anyway, we're going to be there. So we'll be back on Tuesday doing our show. We want to thank our sponsors, of course, the great Ace Hardware, folks. That's right. Norwich, Des Plaines, Evergreen Park, Warrenville. That's Ace Hardware. Buy local, shop local, folks. Don't forget, folks, Saturday, September 2nd from 11 to 2, they have their Labor Day barbecue feast. They're grilling up free hot dogs while you're shopping at any of these 4 locations, folks, from 11 to 2. And they're opening Labor Day. They're open Labor Day till 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And don't forget, folks, to sign up for those great deals that they do have. Download the Ace Rewards app. Easy way to keep track of your points, coupons, and special offers. That's our good friends from Ace Hardware. Ace is the place helping neighbors before they were neighborhoods. And again, folks, remember a couple things. Buy local, shop local, keep supporting local establishments and live entertainment. It's very, very important. Go out, have some fun. Don't wait till I'm going to do that when I retire or I'm going to do that later. Do it now because tomorrow is not promised to anybody, man. We got to keep going out and having fun. It's just too damn short, life is. It really is. And if you're around some great people, God bless you, man. We're all truly blessed. Music, with all the crazy shit going on in this world, whether race, religion, whatever it is, we all, one thing in common is we all love music. And music brings us out of that rut. You know, if you're having a great time, that music is great. If you're having a sad time, that's when the lyrics are important to music, if you ever notice. But whatever it is, music, no matter what you listen to, keep that going because it's very, very important. I want to thank you all for watching the show today, folks. And again, the legendary Tom Dreesen. Thank you, Tim Cian, for that. And thank you, Tom. Folks, have an incredible, safe Labor Day weekend. Have fun, folks. And remember the great words of Ringo Starr. Peace and love. Peace and love, everybody. God bless you. Nick Sahajas, the piano man. Take us out.
Time to go, it's the end of the show. See you later from Tony O.
Bye-bye, everybody. God bless you. Happy Labor Day.